The NBA season has basically just begun, and while the start to the new year has already been incredibly entertaining and action-packed, a lot can change between now and April. There is a lot of basketball left to be played, but based on what every team has shown so far, we can at least get a decent idea of what their identities are, what they do well, and where they struggle. Some teams are able to sustain the level of success they achieve at the start, some teams fall off hard after a hot start, some teams address their weaknesses and turn their slow start around, and some teams just stink. So based on what we've seen so far, what we'll be doing in today's video is we'll be going through all 30 NBA teams and we'll be making one overreaction to what they have shown so far that may seem a bit over the top, but could prove to be reality as time passes. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. Going in alphabetical order, starting in the Eastern Conference, we've got the Atlanta Hawks, and my overreaction to their start to the season is that Zachary Rissache's ceiling is a lot lower than a number 1 pick should be. The Hawks have started the year 1-3, and while there's a lot going wrong out of the gate, what stands out to me is that Rissache is not looking like someone ready to take a year 2 leap. Whether it's fair or not, Rissache will always have big expectations as someone who was taken number 1 in the 2024 draft, and we may need to just accept that he's not the stud that typically comes from that pick. An ankle injury held him out of a few games, but he's also scored just 2 points in a loss to the Bulls after he got healthy, failing to find any way to get involved on the offensive end, and that's just not good enough. Next is the Boston Celtics, and my overreaction to their start is that they're probably not finished trading away some of their bigger contracts. The Celtics lost their first 3 games of the year, and after an offseason of a lot of overhaul, they no longer have the depth and talent top to bottom to compete at the top of the Eastern Conference. If they find themselves on the outside looking in by the trade deadline, they're going to consider the fact that they're only about $12 million away from ducking the luxury tax, and that could motivate them to move on from players like Anthony Simons and maybe even Sam Hauser, who may not be parts of their long-term plans. Next is the Brooklyn Nets, and my overreaction to their start is that they look like they're playing at an LA Fitness. Most of you should know what I mean when I say this, but for those of you that don't, basically, they're playing a brand of basketball that lacks any kind of structure or plan. They're out there playing glorified street ball, with their 2 leading scorers, Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr., chucking up shots every chance they get. Nobody is playing any defense, with the Nets ranking dead last on that end of the floor so far, and the young guys aren't even getting as involved as they probably should be because of this lack of order. Next is the Charlotte Hornets, and my overreaction to their start is that LaMelo Ball is finally becoming the leader that they have needed him to be. Coming into the year, a lot of pressure was on LaMelo Ball, and in many's eyes, this was a make-or-break year for him as Charlotte's franchise guy. He's an immensely talented point guard oozing in playmaking and scoring ability, but he has always been criticized for being a bit immature and reckless with his play. The Hornets are off to a respectable 2-2 start at the time of me making this video, but more importantly, they're actually playing competitively every night. They are the 4th ranked offense right now, generating high-quality looks what seems like every time down the floor. LaMelo is playing highly efficient basketball, and behind the scenes, teammates like Miles Bridges have openly discussed that LaMelo is the one firing the guys up around him to work harder on the court, and I've never seen LaMelo himself put his money where his mouth is, working harder on the defensive end than he ever has this season. So I think we're finally seeing a mature LaMelo Ball reach his potential. Next is the Chicago Bulls, and my overreaction for them is that Josh Giddey is an all-star player now. The Bulls are one of just 4 teams to start the year undefeated after the first week of play, to the surprise of many, and they've been doing it by performing dominantly on the defensive end, ranking as the number 2 defense so far. But on offense, it's been Josh Giddey orchestrating everything for them. He's averaging about 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, playing the best basketball of his career, leading elevating his team to a level of overachieving that deserves to be celebrated. Next is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and my overreaction for them is that Lonzo Ball is a downgrade from Ty Jerome. This summer, the Cavaliers allowed Ty Jerome to walk in free agency, and in his place, they traded for Lonzo Ball, who they hoped would bring a more balanced two-way production. Ball may be an upgrade on the defensive end, but on offense, especially in the absence of Darius Garland to open the year so far, Ball is a significant downgrade as a shot creator, and the team is severely lacking in help for Donovan Mitchell. If they can't replicate the offensive dominance that they had last season as a team, they could be in for a bit of a drop-off right now. Next is the Detroit Pistons, and my overreaction to their start is that Cade Cunningham does not have enough help. Last season, the Pistons emerged as a playoff team behind the elite play of Cade Cunningham, but alongside him, they also at least had some great sharpshooting role players to space the floor. Losing both Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. is a bigger loss than most thought it would be, and now the team's spacing is back to being pretty abysmal, ranking near the bottom of the NBA in three-point shooting, due to players like Ausar Thompson, Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, and Karis LeVert all being subpar three-point shooters, and Duncan Robinson is still a significant downgrade from Malik Beasley in that regard as well. Next is the Indiana Pacers, and my overreaction for them is that they will be one of the 3 worst teams in the NBA this season. Before the year began, everyone pretty much assumed that they were about to suffer a slide because they are without Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner left in free agency, but for the most part the sentiment was still that they could fight for a spot in the play-in tournament. They are currently without a single win at the time of me making this video, and I don't think this group has nearly enough playmaking or creativity to survive in a league now filled with both of those things, and after a while they're going to get to a point where it just makes more sense to tank anyway for the sake of better draft odds with such a stacked draft class coming in 2026. Next is the Miami Heat, and my overreaction for them is that Jaime Jaquez is fully back. Jaquez came out as a rookie in 2024 looking like one of the NBA's most ready rookies from that class, and he finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting because he was a natural scorer of the basketball, with advanced footwork and creation skills serving as a burst of offense off the bench. Last year, to put it simply, he stunk, regressing across the board and seeing his confidence take a big hit. He must have worked his ass off this summer because he's looking more confident than ever, decisively getting to his spots and efficiently scoring about 19 points per game for Miami, making him a prime 6th Man of the Year candidate. Next is the Milwaukee Bucks, and my overreaction to their start is that Giannis Antetokounmpo is about to have the best year of his entire career. Giannis is a 2-time MVP and a winner of the Defensive Player of the Year award, but even though he won those awards a few years ago at this point, I think he's only gotten better since then and is now in a position where he's going to have to do literally everything to keep the Bucks afloat. They are off to a strong 3-1 start, with Giannis averaging a ridiculous 36 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, and even though those kind of numbers may not be sustainable over 82 games, I still think he's going to be at the heart of everything. Over on BetOnline, the Bucks' win total for over-under is set at just 44.5 wins, which I think they can definitely clear with Giannis playing at this level, and if you agree with me, then that is the place to go take advantage of the line while you can. Next is the New York Knicks, and my overreaction for their start is that their new and improved bench, quote-unquote, is not as good as advertised. The Knicks had one of the league's best starting lineups last year, but they also had minimal bench production, so this summer they went out and brought in players like Gershon Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, and they re-signed Landry Shamet, which looks good on paper, giving them another ball handler, a floor-spacing big-bodied forward, and a sharpshooter, but in reality, both of those marquee signings have been pretty terrible. Yabusele looks as out of shape as he was when he first came to the NBA as a member of the Celtics and has only made 2 total shots through 3 games. And Clarkson is averaging just 7 points per game, shooting 33% from the field while also being abused on defense. Next is the Orlando Magic, and my overreaction to their start is that their offense is still broken. This offseason, the Magic went out and traded for Desmond Bane, and they signed Tyus Jones to try to bolster their lowly offense that was ranked dead last in the NBA in three-point shooting, which in theory should have been awesome. The problem is that they didn't actually address the root of their issues, with their point guard position lacking any kind of creativity or playmaking talent, resulting in nobody out there making the lives of their scorers easier. The Magic are now 1-4 to start the season. They're the second worst three-point shooting team so far, and they're a bottom 5 ranked offense. Next is the Philadelphia 76ers, and my overreaction to their start is that they don't even need a lot from Joel Embiid to be a great team this season. The 76ers are one of the most fun groups to watch out of the gate, starting the year 4-0, with a few amazing comebacks along the way. They're doing this despite Joel Embiid being on a strict minutes restriction, playing only 20 minutes a night, and they're doing this because their backcourt is genuinely as productive as any backcourt in the whole NBA. They play fast, Tyrese Maxey is leveling up, leading the league in scoring at the time of me making this video, VJ Edgecombe is leading the Rookie of the Year race early on, Quentin Grimes is an electric burst of offense off the bench and should be in the 6th Man of the Year race mix, and Jared McCain and Paul George haven't even come back from their injuries yet. Joel Embiid has still been able to sleepwalk his way to about 20 points every game, which is the kind of thing that can now be treated as a luxury, not a necessity for the team to win. Next is the Toronto Raptors, and my overreaction to their start is that Immanuel Quickley is not a franchise point guard. The Raptors brought Quickley in, and no pun intended, Quickley anointed him as the lead guard that they were going to build through, giving him a $175 million contract extension, equivalent to the kind of paydays that borderline All-Stars and established All-Stars sign. Quickley has never actually played at that level at any point in his career though, so this gamble was always a projection, and I think they may have miscalculated because he is just not giving them enough to justify it. He's putting up about 15 points, shooting it pretty horribly efficiency-wise, and the Raptors are now 1-3 to start the season. Next is the Washington Wizards, and my overreaction to their start is that I am fully out on Cam Whitmore as a player. Whitmore is one of the biggest ball hogs I have ever seen, and that's saying something. Cam Whitmore is playing about 17 minutes per game off the bench, and the only thing he's looking to do out there is shoot the basketball. He's taking about 9.5 shots per game, and in total is only making about 12.5 passes per game. You heard me correctly. He is nearly taking as many shots as he is making total passes. There is an almost equal likelihood that he will pass the ball to a teammate as there is that he'll put a shot up. For reference, Keyshawn George is currently the Wizards' leading scorer, and he is taking about 12.3 shots per game while also making about 54 passes per game. That's the kind of ratio we should be seeing from a player. Now over to the Western Conference teams. Next up is the Dallas Mavericks, and my overreaction to their start is that they desperately need a point guard. A lot of you got on me in the comments of videos I've made throughout the summer where I was pointing out that D'Angelo Russell is probably not good enough to reliably hold the team over in Kyrie Irving's absence. And I'll say it, it's looking like I was right all along. The Mavericks have such little trust in Russell that they aren't even starting him and are instead trying to experiment with Cooper Flag at point guard, who I don't even think has point forward skill sets in his resume, and when D'Lo has been on the court, he's been averaging just 10 points per game, shooting 32% from the field and 18% from 3, hurting the defense along the way as well. Next is the Denver Nuggets, and my overreaction to their start is that Jamal Murray might finally make an all-star team. The Nuggets are off to another strong start, with their only loss of the year being in the season opener to the Warriors, which was a game that went to overtime. But Murray has been off to the best start of a season in his career, which includes a 43-point outing against Minnesota. This is a group with way more firepower than they had a year ago, and Jokic has always been unselfish when it comes to letting those around him eat. So if Murray has rediscovered his form and leveled up, he'll continue to have the opportunities to produce at an all-star level. Next is the Golden State Warriors, and my overreaction to their start is that Jonathan Kuminga has finally found a role on this team. For the first time in his career, Kuminga is now a full-time starter with the Warriors, and he's played the best basketball of his career on both ends. After a drawn-out contract saga this offseason, he is now looking hungry to prove he's worth a bigger contract extension next summer, scoring the ball efficiently, defending harder than he ever has, and genuinely impacting their success, evidenced by the fact that the Warriors have been 9.6 points better per 100 possessions, with Kuminga on the floor. Next is the Houston Rockets, and my overreaction to their start is that Reed Sheppard is just not good enough. With how depleted the Rockets' backcourt is, the team needed Sheppard to step into a big role and take command of the second unit, but so far he's shown a lot of the same struggles he had as a rookie, only now he's getting more playing time. He's getting targeted every time down the floor on defense, and on offense, he is still struggling to find any kind of groove, shooting just 35% from the field. After taking him with the 3rd overall pick in last year's draft, they need more from him, but I'm not sure if he's able to deliver. Next is the Los Angeles Clippers, and my overreaction to their start is that this team might just be way too old. The Clippers are off to a modest 2-2 start to the season, but they got punched in the mouth on opening night by a young and fast-paced Utah Jazz, and when they faced the only contender that they've seen on their schedule so far, the Warriors, they also got embarrassed, losing by 19 points, scoring just 79 points total in that game. Bradley Beal might be cooked, Chris Paul cannot score the ball anymore, and both James Harden and Kawhi Leonard have clearly lost a step, so we may be watching the decline of these names that have been around for so long. Next is the Los Angeles Lakers, and my overreaction to their start is that DeAndre Ayton is not the answer. Ayton's start to the Lakers' tenure has pretty much looked exactly how most of his career has looked. His box score production is fine, he's scoring efficiently, he's rebounding the ball, but defensively he is completely lost and poses no threat protecting the rim. Overall, the Lakers have been a whopping 11.1 points worse per 100 possessions with Ayton on the floor, and they also give up 9.7 more points in that span on defense with him out there compared to when he's on the bench. So once again, expect the Lakers to be on the hunt for a center when the trade deadline starts to approach. Next is the Memphis Grizzlies, and my overreaction to their start is that Cedric Coward is a gem. When the Grizzlies traded up in the draft to select Coward 11th overall, a lot of people were scratching their heads because he only played 6 games last year at Washington State before getting injured, which ended his season, and he's an older rookie on top of it. Well, he is red hot to start his NBA career, doing everything that he possibly could have been asked of. He's averaging about 16 points off the bench, shooting 65% from the field. He's got a smooth shooting stroke. He moves well without the ball. He's a smart connector in the lineup who plays within the flow of the offense, and his combination of size and mobility make him an incredibly promising two-way player. Next is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and my overreaction to their start is that they have the worst point guard rotation in the NBA. It's crazy how a legitimate contender that has been to the conference finals in back-to-back years can get to this point, but they let it be this way. Mike Conley has had an incredibly long career, but he is so obviously on his last legs and can barely function at half the capacity that he once could. Then, after him, the Timberwolves have been resorting to playing Bones Highland, who has been one of the worst defenders in the NBA throughout his career, and they have been playing him over Rob Dillingham, who they took 8th overall in the draft, because Dillingham has been even worse at defending the perimeter. They've been resorting to giving Dante DiVincenzo minutes at point guard because of how unreliable their other options are, and they're probably going to have to make a trade to stay afloat in the West. Next is the New Orleans Pelicans, and my overreaction to their start is that they are going to blow up this core by the trade deadline. The Pelicans have begun the season winless through 4 games, and they're not very far away from hitting the panic button. Trey Murphy has not come anywhere close to taking the all-star leap many were projecting from him. Zion Williamson is playing well, but not at the level that he has played at in prior years. Jordan Poole has been pretty inefficient, and at this certain point, they're going to have to admit that this core cannot compete and shift their focus to the young guys, which would be their smartest path. Next is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and my overreaction to their start is that they are still the best team in the NBA. There's not much left to be said about the defending champions. They're still out there cruising to wins with ease, despite being without Jalen Williams. They're 5-0, they are the league's #1 ranked defense, and they're not even at full strength, so with most teams still having a lot to figure out, this is a team with an identity and culture of winning, with the results to show for it. Next is the Phoenix Suns, and my overreaction to their start to the season is that they will be huge sellers at the trade deadline. Coming into the year, I don't think people had many high hopes for Phoenix, but there was at least some hope that their defense could be improved after the new additions that they brought in, and that they could maybe be somewhat competitive. But the Suns are now 1-4 to start the year, and they have the 3rd worst ranked defense in the entire NBA. Devin Booker is now wasting prime years on a team more suited to be rebuilding, and Dillon Brooks is another valuable player that contenders would love to trade for at the deadline. Next is the Portland Trail Blazers, and my overreaction to their start is that Jrue Holiday and Jeremy Grant still have a lot left in the tank. Both of these players were basically written off this summer, with Jrue Holiday being basically used as a salary dump by Boston, and Portland fans wishing Jeremy Grant got his salary dumped, and admittedly Grant was pretty bad last year, but he's been a great two-way wing for many years before that, and one down season isn't going to define him. Holiday didn't have to do nearly as much in Boston on such a stacked team, but he's now the one guiding this young group on the rise, and is averaging an efficient 20 points and 8 assists per game, while Jeremy Grant is coming off the bench, also reverting back to his highly impactful two-way play, averaging about 22 points per game, shooting it well inside and out. And what has been most notable is that the Blazers as a team have the 6th ranked defense in the NBA out of the gate, demonstrating how important these veterans have been to this young core. Next is the Sacramento Kings, and my overreaction to their start is that it is over for this core. I don't have any optimism left for Sacramento. This is a sinking ship that sinks lower and lower with each passing game. They are 1-4 to start the season, and there just isn't any kind of synergy to build off of. The pairing of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan were catastrophic in Chicago, and they are once again catastrophic on defense in Sacramento, and Domantas Sabonis being the anchor only amplifies those woes, and what's worse is that they are now also ranked in the bottom 5 of the league offensively, so this is just a group of individuals playing for stats, and the organization needs to accept that it is over. Next is the San Antonio Spurs, and my overreaction to their start is that Victor Wembanyama is officially an MVP caliber player. Ever since he's been drafted, the expectations have been for Wemby to one day be one of the best players in the world, because he had physical gifts we have never seen before. His first 2 seasons were ridiculously impressive, but he still had a few clear weaknesses holding him back from reaching the absolute pinnacle, but now in year 3, he is looking leveled up across the board. He's leading the Spurs to being one of the 4 teams that are still unbeaten, and he's doing so averaging 31 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game, shooting it much more efficiently and making life a living hell for opponents night after night. And finally, the last team up is the Utah Jazz, and my overreaction to their start is that Cody Williams is already a draft bust. The Jazz have looked surprisingly competitive out of the gate, playing good, fun basketball, winning 2 of their first 4 games. They're doing that without Cody Williams even in the rotation at all, though. Cody played garbage time minutes in the season opener, he didn't see the floor at all in their next 2 games, and then against the Trailblazers he played 11 minutes where he made a couple shots, but also committed 5 fouls in those 11 minutes and committed 2 turnovers. For a top 10 pick to already be here, it's not a good sign at all, and I think the Jazz are already starting to accept their fate with him. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what some of your biggest overreactions are so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.